Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 18, entitled Parikshit Cursed by a Brahmana Boy, verse number 15. Tanno bhavan vai bhagavat pradhano mahattamai trantaparayanasya Harer udaram charitam vishuddham Susrusatam no vitanotu vidvan. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. O Sutro Swami, I will read myself. O Sutro Swami, you are a learned and pure devotee of the Lord, because the personality of Godhead is your chief object of worship. Therefore, please describe to us the pastimes of the Lord, which are above all material conception, for we are anxious to receive such messages. Purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The speaker on the transcendental activities of the Lord should have only one object of worship and service, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the audience for such topics should be anxious to hear about him. When such a combination is possible, namely qualified speaker and qualified audience, it is then and there very much congenial to continue discourses on the transcendence. Professional speakers and materially absorbed audience cannot derive real benefit from such discourses. Professional speakers make a show of Bhagavad Sapta for the sake of family maintenance, and materially disposed audience hear such discourses of Bhagavad Sapta for some material benefit, namely religiosity, wealth, gratification of the senses, or liberation. Such Bhagavatam discourses are not purified from the contamination of the material qualities, but the discourses between the saints of Naimisaranya and Sri Sutta Goswami are on the transcendental level. There is no motive for material gain. In such discourses, unlimited transcendental pleasure is relished both by the audience and by the speaker, and therefore they can continue the topics for many thousands of years. Now, Bhagavad Saptas are held for 7 days only, and after finishing the show, both the audience and the speaker become engaged in material activities as usual. They can do so because the speaker is not Bhagavad Pradhana and the audience is not Susrusatam, as explained above. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from the Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 18, entitled Parikshit Cursed by a Brahmana Boy. And today's verse is number 15. Tanno bhavan vai bhagavat pradhano mahattamaitranta parayanasya harer udaram charitam vishuddham shushrusatamno vitanotu vidvan. So this verse is spoken by sages of Naimisaranya addressing to Sutta Goswami. They are saying to Sutta Goswami, O Sutta Goswami, you are a learned and pure devotee of the Lord, Bhagavat Pradhana, because the personality of Godhead is your chief object of service. Therefore, please describe to us the pastime of the Lord, which are above all material conception, for we are anxious to receive such messages. So, the sages of Naimisaranya, they are interested to hear from Sutaro Swami about the pastimes of the Lord. And it described in this verse, the pastimes of the Lord are Harer Udaram Charitam Visuddham. The Lord Hari, his pastimes or Charitam is a Visuddham. It's always pure or transcendental. That pastime, please describe to us. And who has to describe this? Whom they are addressing? Sutaro Swami. And Sutaro Swami was addressed as a Bhagavad Pradhana, whose chief object of whose life, the chief object of service is Lord Krishna. And the characteristics of the sages of Naimisaranya is described as they are very anxious to receive the message, or they are very anxious to hear the Visuddha, the transcendental pastime of the Lord from the Sutaro Swami, whose life chief object of service is Lord Sri Krishna. So in this verse, it's explained the quality of or qualification of a speaker as well as the qualification of audience, both. The qualification of speakers is he should be Bhagavad Pradhana. Bhagavad Pradhana means whose life chief object of service is Sri Krishna. And the audience qualification is they should be Susrusatam. They should be anxious to hear. When there are such combinations are there of audience and speaker, and that time the topic of discussion should be what? Both are there. Qualified speaker is there, who is a Bhagavad Pradhana, qualified audience is there, who is anxious to hear. But what should be the subject of discussion? That also mentioned here by sages of Naimisaranya. The subject of matter of discussion should be Harer Udaram Charitam Visuddham. The subject matter is the pastimes of Lord Hari, which are Visuddham, which are the transcendental. When such combination is there, Prabhupada write in a purport, when such a combination is possible, namely a qualified speaker and qualified audience, it is then and there very much congenial to continue discourse on the transcendence. And further Prabhupada write that as we hear the sages of Naimisaranya are said to assemble in Naimisaranya to perform 1,000 years yajna, sacrifice. And what was the yajna? It was not fire yajna. The yajna for what they have assembled, it was for hearing about the pastime of the Lord. And for how long? 1,000 years. So Prabhupada right here, I will tell. So they have said to assemble to perform the 1,000 years yajna. And Prabhupada write in a purport, there are another kind of speakers. One kind of speaker is a Bhagavad Pradhana, whose chief objective life is to object of life of worship is Krishna. Right? Prabhupada write in a purport, there is another kind of speaker. They are professional speaker. And why they are called as professional? Because Prabhupada write in a purport, their life is driven, or their profession is for family maintenance or matter money. If such kind of a people taught on the Bhagavatam, whose goal of life is to make money or family maintenance, they are called as a professional speaker. And for such professional speaker, there is audience are there. For them also, audience are there. And the nature of their audience is, Prabhupada write in a purport is, they are materially motivated or materially disposed. The audience also is materially disposed. So it's a deadly combination. The speaker is professional speaker whose role of talking about the Lord's Leela is to make a money or family maintenance. And the audience also, they are materially disposed. Materially disposed means, Prabhupada says, family for the dharma, artha, kama, moksha, for the material benefit, namely religiosity, wealth, gratification of senses, and liberation. So when these two kinds of professional speaker and materially disposed audience assemble, they can only perform or do the narrate and hear the pastimes of Lord Krishna only for a 1 week. That's why it's called as they conduct a program called as a Bhagavad Sapta. When such kind of audience and the professional reciters are there, there will be, the result will be, there will be no change of heart. Neither the speaker nor the audience. There will be no purification of heart. They will not, and after the 7 days, as Prabhupada says, they will again go back to the same cycle. So perform the 7 days Bhagavata Sapta, balance 368 days, do your material work. So that will be the result of hearing Bhagavata Sapta or Bhagavad, the pastimes of the Lord from professional reciters. Whereas when we hear the pastimes of the Lord from a person whose chief object of service or worship in life is Lord Krishna, then there will be the transformation of the heart. We can see that how slowly he will get rid of his anarthas. Hence, Srimad Bhagavatam says, we have to perform or hear the pastimes of the Lord, not for a 1 week, but Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Every day, every hours, every seconds in our life. It is a Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. It's not a Sapta Bhagavata Sevaya. It is a Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. And when we do the Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, then slowly we can get rid of all the anarthas and advance in Krishna consciousness. Why we should avoid to hear? Some may have doubt, Prabhu, it's all are about Krishna only, na? Krishna's pastime is always pure, as it is mentioned in this verse. Hare Rudaram Charitam Visuddham. The Krishna's charitra, Krishna's pastimes are Visuddham, it's always transcendental. So then why there is a difference between hearing from a pure devotee of the Lord or whose life is Bhagavad Pradhana or from the professional reciter? Right? This doubt may come. What is the difference? The subject matter is same. Both are discussing the same subject matter, the pastime of Lord Krishna. Then why the result is different? For this, Sanatana Goswami's answer to this. He says, Sanatana Goswami has forbidden to devotees to hear the pastime of the Lord from a Vaishnava. He says, Avaishna muthodrirnam putam hari kathamritam shravanam naiva kartavyam. Sanatana Goswami says, from Avaishnava's mutha, Even though Hari Rathamrita, the Krishna's Ratha, Krishna's pastimes are Amrita, one should not hear. Shravanam naiva tartavyam. One should not hear a Hari Rathamritam, the Krishna's pastime, even though they are nectarian, but one should not hear from a Avaishnava Muthom, one who is not a devotee of Krishna. Why? Why he is saying? He gives very nice analogy, comparison. He says, because it is like a sarpochistam yathapayaha. It is like a milk touched by a serpent. Milk is always nutritious food. If we take milk, the body will nourish, right? The nature of the milk is it will nourish the body. But the same milk, when it is touched by a serpent, it externally appears same. As like Krishna's pastimes, when we say it's here from the pure devotee or here from a professional reciter, it's externally sound like the same. They are also chanting the same, they are also telling the same pastimes, describing the Leela of the Lord. But the effect is different. Externally it appears the same, it sounds the same. The result is different. How? Because it will be like a snake touched by the, milk touched by the snake. When you drink a milk which is touched by the snake, the result will be what? Person will immediately die. Right? Whereas the same milk which is not touched by the snake, if you drink, our body will nourish. So that is the difference between the hearing the pastime of Lord Krishna, which are Amritam, from pure devotee of the Lord, or from a Vaishnava. We should never hear a pastime of the Lord thinking that Prabhu, all are same only. I can hear from anyone, everyone. No Tom, Dick and Harry. Only we should hear from the pure devotee of the Lord. Then in a life we can see there is a transformation. We might have heard pastimes of the Krishna in our life from so many people, but we all have common experience that when we start hearing the pastimes of Krishna or reading the pastimes and Leelas of Sri Krishna from Srila Prabhupada, we all have seen there is a transformation in our life. Am I right? We all have experience. Within a few days, few years, we see that slowly, we have given up all the bad habits, all the bad qualities. We are slowly, without effort. It's not only we are doing so much endeavor to get rid of our anarthas, bad habits, bad quality. No. Just by hearing Srila Prabhupada, just by reading his book, we are slowly get rid of our all anarthas up to the point the same thing which offered to us, now we will feel distrusted to accept it. Right? In Prabhupada's life, we see that when Prabhupada went to America, he was just chanting the holy name and giving the discourses on Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. And the audience has only one quality, that they are anxious to hear. They were not understanding many things what Prabhupada is speaking. They are first time hearing the word Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In their life they have not heard Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or many such concept of Vedic literature. But they are regularly attending the Prabhupada session. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. And by hearing, within a few days, few months, they have all transformed in their life from hippie to happy. Right? So that is the importance is stressed here in this verse by sages of Naimisaranya for hearing the message of the Lord from the pure devotee. As Sanatan Goswami has warned, similarly Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also warned us that Maya Vada Vasya Sunile Hoy Sarvanas. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also say, there will be sannyasi, but their philosophy is a Mayavadi, where they says there is no difference between you and Krishna. They are called as Mayavadi. So from their mouth, if you hear pastimes or Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, then what will happen? Hoya Sarva Nas. Whatever we have acquired, Sutruth in our life, everything will go away. There is one more devotee of Lord Chaitanya. His name is Swarup Damodar. He has also warned us that we should not hear anything about or particularly the pastimes of the Lord or message of the Lord from a Vaishnava. There is a pastime in Chaitanya Charitamrita about this Swarup Damodar. It says in Antya Leela chapter 5, there was one Bengali poet who has composed a script on drama. A Brahmana from Bengal wrote a drama about character traits of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he has written manuscript. It was a play, script, about character trait of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he wants to, this his script of a play has to be heard by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he comes from Bangalore to Jagannath Puri, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there. And he made a devotee of Lord Chaitanya named Bhagwan Acharya. So he was very well known to this devotee, Bhagwan Acharya. So he went to Jagannath Puri and met this devotee, Bhagwan Acharya. And Bhagwan Acharya has given this Brahmana residence in his house. And then this Brahmana first told to Bhagwan Acharya, please hear the script which I have written for on characteristics of Lord Chaitanya. And Bhagwan Acharya sat and heard this. Not only Bhagwan Acharya, there were other devotees also assembled in his house. All of them heard from this Brahmana. After hearing this, everyone became very happy. It says, Sabai prasamse natatra parama uttama. They are, everybody become prasanna. They become very happy. And they are saying, it is a parama uttama. What you have written is a very good. All Vaishnava praise the drama, saying, very good, very good. They also desired for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to hear the drama. So Bhagwan Acharya and all devotees also desired that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should hear this. But if any commentary or anything is written by outsider, before it reaches to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to hear, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had made one rule that it has to pass through his personal secretary, Swarup Damodar. So this was a rule Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made. And when Swarup Damodar hear and he certifies this is a right, then only it should be go and narrated or read out in front of Lord Chaitanya. So this was a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made a rule. So as per the rule, Bhagwan Acharya, Brahmana and other devotees, they all went to Swarup Damodar for requesting him that please hear and certified and then present to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhagwan Acharya submitted to Swarup Damodar Goswami. A good Brahmana has prepared a drama about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that appears exceptionally well composed. First you hear it, and if it is acceptable to your mind, I shall request Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to hear it. To this, Swarup Damodar Goswami replied, Dear Bhagwan Acharya, you are very liberal, cowherd boy. Sometimes the desire awakens within you to hear any kind of poetry. So here Swarup Damodar point out that even though you are a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotee, but your mind, the nature of your mind is, or the nature of you is, you are very liberal. Hence, sometimes the desire awakens in your heart to hear any kind of poetry. That's why you went and hear. Sometimes it happened to us also, right? We are sometimes become too smart. Okay, let us hear from other book also what this person has explained this verse from Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. So Swarup Damodar also point out to this to Bhagwan Acharya. And he says, continue Swarup Damodar, in the writing of so-called poets, there is generally a possibility of overlapping transcendental mellows. When the mellows thus go against the conclusive understanding, no one likes to hear such poetry. A so-called poet who has no knowledge of the transcendental mellows and overlapping the transcendental mellows cannot cross the ocean of conclusion of devotional service. So basically he is saying that he is an ordinary poet. He cannot describe the pastimes of the Lord because he overlapped the mellows. And therefore he is a condemned. Moreover, the pastime of Sri Chaitanya are especially very difficult to understand. So when Lord Chaitanya's pastime is very difficult to understand, how the common poet can understand and write about it? One who has accepted the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as his life and soul can only describe the pastime of Lord Krishna and the pastime of Lord Chaitanya. So here Swarup Damodar, he says, one who is a Bhagavad Pradhana, he only can describe the Krishna Lila and Gaura Lila, not anyone else. Hence, we should avoid the hearing from this. Don't bring this poet script to me to hear. He says, hearing the poetry of a person who has no transcendental knowledge and who write about the relation between man and woman simply causes unhappiness, whereas hearing the words of devotee fully absorbed in ecstatic love causes great happiness. In this way, he tries to avoid to hear the script from Bhagwan Acharya. But Bhagwan Acharya kahe, sunai ek bar. Please hear once. Tumi sunile bala manda janibe vichar. Please hear the drama once. If you hear it, you can consider whether it is good or bad. For 2-3 days, Bhagwan Acharya goes to Swarup Damodar. And every day Swarup Damodar ignores him, avoids him to hear. But repeated request from the Bhagwan Acharya, Swarup Damodar on 4th day says, okay, let us hear, because all of you are too much putting pressure on me. I should hear. So Bhagwan Acharya sat down and he tells to the Brahmana, please begin to read the introductory verse of your play, of your manuscript. And the Brahmana read out, I will just read out the translation. the verse translation, what was the introductory word? It says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has assumed a golden complexion and has become the soul of the body, named Lord Jagannath, whose blooming lotus eyes are widely expanded. Thus he appeared in Jagannath Puri and brought dull matter to life. May that Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Dev bestow upon you all good fortune. When this verse was heard, Swarup Damodar said, please explain this verse. And the poet started explaining this verse. The poet said, Lord Jagannath is most beautiful body, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is exceptionally brave, is the owner of that body. You understand how is manipulating or misinterpreting. He says Lord Jagannath is the most beautiful body and Chaitanya Dev is a owner of that body. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared here in Nilachal to spiritualize the entire dull material world. And like that, when he was speaking, Swarup Damodar became very angry. Was this much only he heard. And it says Swarup Damodar became angry and he says, Are Murtha, O foolish person, you have brought all ill fortune upon yourself. Apnara Traila Sarvanas, you have brought all ill fortune upon yourself. Duita Iswara Tora Nahita Viswasa, you don't have the faith that both are Iswara, both are Lord Jagannath and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, both are Supreme Lord, nor have you faith in them. And further he explained, the Lord Jagannath is completely spiritual and full of transcendental bliss, but you have compared him to a dull, destructible body composed of inner external energy of the Lord. You have calculated Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he has compared in his verse Lord Jagannath as a dull matter. And what he has compared Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? You have calculated Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full of six opulence, to be on the level of ordinary living being. Instead of knowing him as a Supreme Personality of Godhead or Supreme Fire, you have accepted him as a spark. Hence, Swarup Damodar continue, because you have committed an offense to Lord Jagannath and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As a result, you will attain hellish destination. In anger, he said, you do not know how to describe the absolute truth, but nevertheless, you have tried to do so, therefore, you must be condemned. So, this is another instance where it says of Swarup Damodar that we should not hear even the pastime of the Lord from a very qualified Brahmana who appears to be as composed nicely. He says, and further the pastime goes on, and Swarup Damodar, then this Brahmana get realized, and he surrenders to Swarup Damodar, and Swarup Damodar accepts him. And he says to that Brahmana, Bhadravata Paro Kriya Bhadravata Sthane. One should hear the Bhagavatam from a person whose life is a Bhadravata Pradhana, whose life, a chief object of worship, is Krishna. From that person, we should hear the Bhagavatam, not from anyone. And he blessed that Brahmana, and that Brahmana realized his mistake. So these are the three examples of how Sanatana Goswami says we should not hear from a Vaishnava. It is like a milk touched by the snake. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says we should not hear from Mayavadi, otherwise Sarvanas. And Swarup Damodar, he also told us that Bhadravata Bhagavata Pararya Bhagavata Sthane. We have to hear the pastimes of the Lord from a devotee whose chief object of worship or service in life is Lord Chaitanya. Now, here we see in a Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam is, we say, it is a discussion between a Sukhadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Both are qualified. Sukhadev Goswami is also Bhagavata Pradhana. His life is, there is no material motive when he is narrating the pastimes of the Lord. Similarly, Parikshit Maharaj, he also very anxious to hear from Sukhadev Goswami. In his life also there is no personal motive, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. And there is a one more dialogue is there in Bhagavatam itself between the Maitreya and Vidura. So we can see here there are three other, here this side three other, right? Sukhadev Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj, Sutta Goswami and sages of Naimisaranya, and Maitreya and Vidura, where all the qualified speaker, qualified audience, and the discussion matter is about the pastimes of the Lord. Then there will be the effect of transformation of the heart, or there is a spiritual advancement in Krishna consciousness. Hence it is said we have to do Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Now for this, there is a very good example for us in a recent modern times is the life of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, one more is there at even Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur also instruction is there that we should not hear from a professional reciter. He says it is better to hear the professional reciter instead of sitting and reciting Bhagavatam to make money or family maintenance. Better he should become a sweeper in a street. One should, with this motive, he should not describe the Bhagavatam. And then I was saying about the Srila Prabhupada example. We heard that Srila Prabhupada came in touch with Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur in the year 1922. All of you will be knowing his friend Narendra Moulik pulled him and take him to meet Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur. And then 1923, Prabhupada moved to Allahabad to open his business. And Srila Prabhupada arranged Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur in between 1930 or 31 in Vrindavan, in Krosi, where Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur came for Vrajmandal Parikrama. During this time, in one particular place called Krosi, where Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur said he is not going to do today, join the Parikrama. And he requested all devotees to go on, continue the Parikrama. I will stay today this in Krosi. So many of the devotees went out to continue Parikrama, whereas Srila Prabhupada stayed back there. And he wants to hear Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur. Later in 1933, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur comes to Allahabad to perform. He comes to Allahabad, and there was an initiation ceremony was arranged. And in this initiation ceremony, Srila Prabhupada was also one of the candidates. So, in the life of then, what happened? In this way, Prabhupada says, in this way I became reconnected in 1933 and officially initiated from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur. And when Prabhupada was introduced to Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur by his disciple, that please give this Abhay Babu also initiation, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur immediately said, yes, I shall initiate this boy. He is very nice. He hears me very patiently. He does not go away. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur has noted this quality of Prabhupada, that he was very anxious to hear. Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur says, he does not go away. So, there is a perfect combination. Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur is a Bhagavad Pradhana. Prabhupada is also Bhagavad Pradhana. But he is playing the role of a Susrutama. He is anxious to hear. And the subject matter is Harer Udaram Charitam Visuddham. So, Prabhupada further he says, as Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur accept him, yes, I will accept him because I see he hears very patiently. He does not go away. So that was my qualification. Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur was speaking very high standard of philosophy, which he was speaking at that time. Practically, I could not follow what he was speaking. But still, I like to hear him. And further, Prabhupada says, he says, even though Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur was speaking so high philosophy, I could not understand. But I like to sit and hear him. And that was my hobby. So what was Prabhupada's hobby? Prabhupada's hobby is to hear from Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. This is his hobby. He is very anxious to hear. I was asking, when Guru Maharaj will speak next? So, he took it very seriously. So, in our life, we also should have this quality of Susrutama, anxious to hear about the pastime of the Lord. And how anxious? Nityam. It should be done every day, not only weekly once. Not only weekly. It has to be done Nityam, every day, some part of time we should take and hear from Srila Prabhupada. And we are very fortunate that Prabhupada Vani is available. His books are available for us to read. So how we can associate with Srila Prabhupada, who is a Bhagavad Pradhana, by our anxiousness to hear or read. Hence Prabhupada has told in one of everywhere, the devotee should read every day minimum 1 hour. When that anxiety, that anxiousness to hear from Prabhupada is there. And so Prabhupada is Bhagavad Pradhana, and then we have this anxiety, anxiousness to hear from Srila Prabhupada, then we can see there will be transformation in our life. Slowly, 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 all the anarthas will vanquish from our life, and we will purify and attain the loving service of the Lord Sri Krishna. And I will conclude with this one verse, which is in Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 2nd chapter, verse number 37. It says, the translation, those who drinks through oral reception, fully filled with the nectarian message of Lord Krishna, the beloved of the devotees, what will be the effect if we hear the Krishna's pastime, which are Amrita, through the oral reception? The effect is the purify the polluted aim of life known as material enjoyment. If we hear the Krishna's pastime through oral reception, then it effects is purify the polluted aim of life, which is material enjoyment, and thus go back to home, back to Godhead, to the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead. So, by constant hearing the message of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, one is assured herein by Srila Sukadeva Goswami that he will reach the personality of Godhead and render him transcendental loving service in spiritual planet of the name Golota Vrindavan, which resembles a huge lotus flower. With this, I will end it here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanand, Hari Bol.